Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I didn't see you there. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Week 7 recap of the Beeros Drive Fantasy Football League. I'm just pouring myself a lovely beverage, much like the Miami Dolphins do. The only NFL team to go undefeated for the entire season. They make a champagne toast when the last team in the league goes undefeated, as Toby plays with his bone. I make a toast as the only team to go 13-0 to Ross Wilson, who was the last person in our league undefeated, went down this week. So cheers to maintaining that 13-0 record. Always goes down smooth. All right, let's get into it. I know this video is going to come out a little bit late. Thursday night football is happening here in just about 2 or 3 hours. Falcons versus the Panthers. A good game to watch for us Chiefs fans, since we have to play both of these teams in our last, the Panthers will be next week and then the Falcons will be down the road. So do a little pre-scouting. So normally I always start with my team for some reason, but I'm going to start with that Ross Wilson, Matt Mullens matchup. It was number 1 against number 2. Did end up being a pretty good game, close, about 6-point difference. And Matt Mullens pulled out the victory with the high score of the week as well. We'll get to that in a second. Both of those teams are now 6-1 and tied for first, like I said. Both of them had really big games from their quarterbacks and surprisingly really big games from their defense. Both had over 17 or higher on defensive points, so that's not very usual. One team that did have more points from their defense was Keaton, who played the Chiefs and got him 28 points, but that didn't help because I still beat him by about 40. Keaton, he just had a really, kind of a rough game from Patrick Mahomes, and then the rest of his team just really didn't show up for some reason. So I took down Keaton after losing a couple games in a row. Finally able to change my name back, so I was looking forward to that. Next matchup, we've got Rob Lieber, who beat Matt Brand by about 15 points. This game was more about who they sat versus who they started. Matt Brand sat Tyler Lockett. My personal advice, Matt Brand, for the rest of the season, maybe you don't need to know this, but I've never had Tyler Lockett on any fantasy football team ever, and I've always wanted him, and I would start him every week. He got you 38 points, which would have been either 27 or 34 points more than either of the wide receivers you had in your starting lineup. Rob actually had 2 quarterbacks on his bench that had 40 or more points, which would have done him about 13 points more. So it would have been interesting to see if Lockett had been in the game. If Matt Brand would have made that comeback. AJ, you specifically asked for Toby in the video. He's back here in the doorway playing with God knows what, making all kinds of noise. So, now he's playing with a golf ball. Come on, bro. All right, back to it. Javo beat AJ. I didn't have a margin of victory here. I didn't write it down. All I wrote down was that AJ ended up with the low score of the week at 77 points. So Matt Mullens got to pick AJ's name, and AJ has already changed it. Another funny... Toby! Hold on a second. Okay, like I was saying, another funny story from the old college days. Let me get another sip of that in there. So go take a look at that if you haven't already. AJ's team's still doing pretty good. Last matchup of the game, or of week 7, was also another 6-point game. Kyler beat Derek, broke Derek's win streak. I think he'd won about 3 games in a row, maybe 2 or 3. And Kyler also gets to change his name back, and I think he's already done that as well. So we will take a look at the standings right now. All right, so those are our standings as of week 7. Remember, we've got 13 weeks in the season, so we're already over halfway done before the playoffs start. Nobody contacted me about the chaos rule this week. I believe we've had 4 people use it. So yeah, keep that in mind. The 6 people who haven't used it, you got to use it or you don't get to use it in the playoffs. This week's matchups coming up: myself against Mullens, AJ against Keaton. Keaton trying to get out of the basement, 1-6, so he's in last place, trying to get that win and get back in the winner's circle. Ross versus Brand, Javo versus Kyler, and Rob versus Derek. Not many. I guess there's not really any like 1-2 matchups like we had last week. Just kind of a lot of mixed bag. I did see a list on the website of the ESPN projected final standings. So how they think the league's going to finish has these 6 teams currently making the playoffs if they are projecting the rest of the league. Ross and Mullens both 1 and 2. I think that their teams are going to kind of be a toss-up. AJ in 3rd, and then Brand, Javo, and myself. We currently have 5 teams tied at 3 and 4, like you saw in the standings, and that's tied for 4th place. So right now, that would come down to points scored, I believe, to make that tie break and pick those last 3 playoff spots out of 5. So keep trying your best, make those waiver moves that you need. Although the waivers this week were really scarce. We have a lot of bye weeks. I know my team has a ton of byes. It's not looking good for me against Mullens right now, but we will see. Us Chiefs fans have something to look forward to. We are playing the Jets this week, so that should be fun. Hopefully they don't overlook it. Get Mahomes out of the game at halftime when we got a big lead and coast into the Panthers next week. Like I said, Thursday Night Football starting soon. Keep an eye on that. Anybody got any questions, let me know. Use your chaos rules. I think we're doing okay in COVID, so that's always good. And that's all I got. Have a great weekend, guys. Cheers.